Can we just say no? Can we just say no to the hyper-palatable, processed, packaged foods, the likes of which are giving rise to a plethora of so-called diseases of modern civilization? Diseases that, in case you haven't noticed, we're still looking for the cure for. It's like, how much money do we need to invest into finding a cure for cancer, for finding a cure to heart disease? You know, the seeking of said cure is effectively likened to that of chasing phantoms. And the truth is that we're never gonna find those phantoms. We're not gonna find them today, tomorrow, the following Friday, or next century. But you know what? You know what we can find? This is amazing to me, and this is why I'm making this video. Because nobody told me that this was possible. Nobody told me that we can find our freedom. So yeah, you can't fight phantoms, you can't find phantoms, you can't find a cure to cancer because the cure hides where the cause resides. And so what you have to find is the cause of your enslavement. What are you enslaved by? Is it eosinophilic esophagitis? That's just this fancy name for an overactive, overly inflamed esophagus, the consequences of which I had to contend with throughout my mid and late teens as well as my early 20s. For you, it might be some other form, right? It might be some other flavor. It might be some other chronic disease, the consequences of which I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. And I'm guessing you wouldn't either. You don't deserve to have to deal with those consequences, but you also don't deserve to place a proverbial Band-Aid over them and then thinking that that's the end of the story. Thinking that like your doctor is Sherlock Holmes, like he figured out the mystery. Like July 2009 when I was diagnosed with EOE, frankly, I was rested assured that they figured out what was wrong with me. I felt like I had been gaslit ad infinitum leading up to that point in time. Like, Jason, just chew your food, you bad boy, you know, to avoid food getting impacted in my esophagus to the point that I was unable to speak and barely able to breathe. The solution to that was to chew my food 22 times like a good boy, swallow the swallowed corticosteroids, the proton pump inhibitor, Prilosec, and just do that for the rest of your life. Yeah, nobody told me that I could find my freedom. And that's the possibility that I want to present to you. Because when you look around, when you observe your periphery, when you start doing things different than the cultural norm, I get it. You're gonna feel like, boom, like all eyes are on you. Your greatest fear is going to be being rendered a pariah, effectively being ostracized at a really deep DNA chromosomal level. That fear lives in all of us. But at some point, what you have to ask yourself is, where are you going to get in this life if you continue to do what everybody else around you is doing? If you don't question the aforementioned hyper-palatable processed packaged foods, the refrainment of the consumption of such is deemed as like, you're the weird one, right? Like you, for sidestepping these landmines that are hyper-palatable processed packaged foods, you are the outlier. You're the outcast. You're the anomaly. And not even in a good way, too. It's like there's this tacit assumption that you are what? That you're like a health nut. And this sort of has like this negative connotation to it. I can remember my 9th grade honors geometry teacher, Robin, one of these apple a day keeps the doctor away people. And I, by default, had this negative association with health. I really did. Even Anne Archibald, my German teacher in high school, I can remember she was a great proponent of antioxidants, the prudence of consumption of which took me many, many years thereafter graduating high school to frankly garner a full appreciation of, as was the refrainment from negative self-talk that she would always harp on. I didn't realize, frankly, the pearls, the knowledge, just the bombs of wisdom that she was effectively bestowing me with. And one of my goals is to make healthy sexy, because there's probably a number of different like male influencers. I'm not even going to name specific names. You probably already know who I'm talking about. And they're really popular. They've got a lot of Instagram followers. They're freaking jacked. Like, they look amazing. But they're not showing you, they're not setting the greatest example, are they? They're not really eating whole, minimally processed foods. They're not eating meat, milk, eggs, basmati rice, pomegranate juice, maybe some beef liver. They're getting takeout sometimes, right? They're eating seed oils, added sugars, even pre-workout supplements. They're contracted with all of these different brands who have products that, quite frankly, are utterly unnecessary and overpriced, to be honest. And they don't actually offer you anything unique that you can't get in and beyond proper nutrition and spot supplementation of things like magnesium, vitamin D if you're not getting enough sunlight, vitamin K2, MK4 specifically, very important, not MK7, vitamin C, vitamin E. These supplements that really stack on top of an optimized diet. See, the problem is that these people aren't whispering into your ear the importance of putting food first and talking about just how high leverage this is. I just wish somebody would have told me, and that's what this really comes down to. The literal thousands of times, the thousands of times that I've said no to nonsense, to bad food. A lot of that comes from the fact that I just got so hurt by food. Like, throughout my life, I've just really been let down by the modern food supply chain that I think I still carry that with me. I'm just like, man, I really got betrayed. I feel like I really got stabbed in the back, and nobody told me otherwise. My gastroenterologist, my allergist, my PCP, my pediatrician from the time I was a kid. Growing up, not once did anybody tell me that it was possible to find my freedom, man, to fix my physiology, to put food first, to reverse the damage that had been done from the cradle to whatever age somebody could have whispered this message into my ear. This is so important. And not even just at the individual level, not even for you to find your freedom, but thinking of yourself as a node in a network and thinking about the second, third, fourth, and beyond order impact. Just the magnitude of that, the likes of which could probably only be measured on a Richter scale, and just realizing how much better life could be, how much better off your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your cousin, your significant other, yourself could be. Putting on your oxygen mask first, more effectively placing you in a position to be of more service to those in your periphery. Nobody's told you this, have they? That there's literally nothing more important than the food that touches your tongue, teeth, and lips. Literally the fact that you become what you eat. And it's precisely that fact, the fact that it took over 20 years of my life to come to this realization of something that important and that fundamental. Something we do every day. Eating kilos of food, several pounds of food every single day. And to not question the quality of that, where it's coming from, the composition therein, what sort of vitamins, what sort of minerals, what sort of micronutrients at large a particular way of eating offers. What is it actually offering you? And then on the flip side of that coin, what is it actually potentially taking away from you? Opportunity cost. Because every time that you're eating these hyperpalatable processed packaged foods, it's not even just that you're eating that, it's that what you're not eating instead. Things that could have actually nourished you. Beef, eggs, whole eggs, getting the arachidonic acid, the choline, the fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K from the yolks, the basmati rice because it's devoid of phytic acid and arsenic. Why are we not taught this in school? Why did nobody ever tell you? Why did nobody ever tell me? And it's the fact that nobody did tell me that honestly to this day, as I said, I do feel a bit betrayed. And I just want to set a good example and show people what's possible. Show people just how good their life can be when they take food seriously, when they take their nutrition seriously, how high vibe they can be, how healthy, man, just the diseases, the consequences of which they no longer have to contend with because they reversed it by doing as what Hippocrates ostensibly said, which is to let food be thy medicine. At the end of the day, you can't find phantoms, but you can find your freedom. That's all I've ever wanted for you. And I hope this video helps steer you in that direction. I love you very much. Drop a comment down below, my friend. How are you? Really, how are you doing? I want to know. I actually care. I want to help people become more high vibe. I want to help people find their freedom, to stop fighting phantoms that don't exist, and to reallocate that time, energy, and effort in the right way. I love you very much. And as always, my friend, until next time, find your freedom. Peace.